Okay guys, in today's video, we're going to be falling two heavy leaning Madrone trees. Both these trees are dead and they are killed by wildfire. The reason for the high stumps on both of these trees is that the bases of the trees are both compromised with hollow, rotten wood. So I'm trying to cut them a little higher just so I can get into some stronger hinge wood. And here you see me just cleaning up and examining my face cut a little bit before I switch to my back cut, making sure it's nice with no junk in there that's going to mess up my compression. So the challenge with this tree is that it's going to end up being limb locked. You can kind of see it in the top right corner of the video. It's limb locked with another tree up there. So you'll see the tree start to go and then just basically sag a little bit and stop. So right here you see that tree start to sag and then just stop because it's limb locked. It's not falling anymore, and I'm just taking a step back to take a look at the situation. In hindsight, I probably should have used a bore cut here, not only because it's a leaning tree, but also the bore cut, as the tree starts to fall, it might have started with a little bit more force and it might have freed itself from that limb lock. So at this point, I'm just trying to trim that hinge wood just a little bit to see if I can maybe get it to go. I think I tried this a few times. I kind of trim a little bit more hinge wood, and then I say, no, this is not going to work out this way, and I have to take a little bit of a different approach. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually going to cut another section off of the butt end of this log, and I'm basically preparing this whole thing to just fall off of the stump, and once it falls off, hopefully the limb lock problem will disappear and the tree will come to the ground. So you can't see it from this angle, but on the face cut of this tree I've got a Humboldt cut, and then I'm kind of doing the mirror image of that on the back side, so that what I end up with are some nice angled pieces of wood on the stump and on the butt end of the log, so that the butt end of the log can basically kind of slide off the stump as I cut through the remaining hinge wood and let this thing drop down. Now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting away some of the hinge wood on the compression side and get that a little bit skinnier on that side before I finish up cutting through the hinge wood on the back side. And you can see that my approach here is to just take a little bit of that hinge wood off and then take a step back and look at the tree. And this approach is just for safety, to make sure that I'm away from the tree before it falls. It's not falling with the traditional safe control due to the fact that it's limb locked and I'm having to cut through the hinge wood. So as we start to see it go here, you'll see I'm kind of taking a little bit of a nibble off the hinge, stepping back, checking it, and repeating that process until it falls. So there as the tree hits the ground, you can see that the trunk had that banana shape with that curve to it, and that can be pretty dangerous when that kind of stuff hits the ground, so you want to make sure that you're standing well back. So now for the second tree, you can see that it's again a very heavy leaner. It's not quite as big as the first tree, but it actually has worse hinge wood at the bottom. You can see the big cavity there on the left side of the stump. So I'm going to be cutting a fairly high stump here just in an attempt to get into a little bit of stronger wood, but I'm actually not entirely in solid wood even there. There's still a little bit of a hole inside of the log there. So the nice thing about these trees, if any of you guys have ever cut Madrone, you know that when it's green, it is just a joy to cut, and when it's dead, it's really rock hard wood. These trees are dead, but they're killed by wildfire not that long ago, so the wood is still fairly green, and they just cut like butter. It's so nice. Okay, so I've got my face cut finished up, and I'm going to start on my back cut, and you can see I'm actually going to do a bore cut on this tree. The reason for that is that I know that the tree is hollow, and so I'm going to go ahead and cut it in a way where I can create my hinge, but I can still have some solid holding wood closer to the outside of the tree where I know the wood is stronger, whereas in the inside near the hinge there's more hollow wood, and so I don't have as much strong holding wood if I was to do a traditional back cut. And of course the obvious reason that anytime you're dealing with leaning trees, bore cut can be a good option just so you can reduce the risk of the tree barber chairing on you. So I finished my bore cut and I'm cutting through my trigger here, and the tree is about to hit the ground. So that's it for today's video, guys. Stay safe out there and be sure to subscribe because I've got more videos coming down the pipeline with more climbing and more tree falling.